And welcome back, everybody. Short break for us, short break for you guys, and we're almost ready to hop into match 2 of the day. 1 out of 12 matches down. A mental Sanok to start us off here, Felix. I said it would slow down a little bit. I don't wanna promise too much. I think we're still gonna go crazy. But I was not ready to yell at a 1v4 in the first 30 seconds of the broadcast. I won't lie.
No, honestly, I wasn't either. But then again, it's bootcamp and DBS time, and we've seen all the good stuff from all the pro players on Instagram when it comes to DBSs and bootcamp clutches. So maybe that's why they're so experienced, and that stuff always happens in bootcamp. Who knows? Maybe they should start practicing somewhere else. Ladies and gentlemen, we will take a look at the statistics very soon, and then we get right into match number 2, depending on how fast these players are getting readied up. Any predictions so far? Any predictions so far from Ryuko? Give me your top 3 right now. We've seen the first match. And I always like to do predictions after the first match because then you get a feel for it. Any predictions?
Indonesia is a qualifying team. I'm saying Indonesia is top 3.
I think you are making the majority of the broadcast very happy right now because Indonesia, if there's any PUBG Mobile scene in the entire world that's as crazy about PUBG Mobile as they are, I think it's Indonesia. It has to be Indonesia. One of the most, one of the biggest and most passionate fan bases of PUBG Mobile. I think so too. I think Indonesia is a qualified team just based off of the way we've seen them kind of tackle the obstacles that an 18 team lobby and also Sanhok throws at you. They were the best at adapting. I also want to say, I think Vietnam, despite them not having almost any points, I think they've got like 4 or 5 maybe, based off of that hot drop that we saw. And I think we saw some, not actually on the stream, but in the kill feed. I think solely based off that, I think they're also good. I think, sure, a hot drop mistake can happen, but just the way we've seen them play throughout this year so far in the global tournaments, I think just solely based off that, I think these guys are pretty set as well. And, well, that's actually crazy because we only have 3 spots and we've only got 2 locked down for me.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tricky. 3 spots is not a lot when you're fighting with 17 other teams in your lobby. I feel sorry for everybody that's not going to make it, but it's the way the game works, right? It's somebody has got to get last every single tournament, and in this tournament, a lot of people are going to be in the bottom 15. So it's a tough gauntlet to go through. They've gone through one already in each of their regional local qualifiers right now. So we went from the national qualifiers to now the regional qualifiers. We're making it harder, and it's going to be tricky. But if we're being honest, if you think you have a chance to perform at the World Esports Championships, you're going to have to get through these qualifiers. If you don't get the top 3 here, you probably just weren't up to the task, and you probably weren't able to perform at the World Esports Champions either, because that's going to get a whole bunch harder than this regional qualifier. This is tricky, this is tough, 100%. But the teams that want to become the World Esports Champions, they will have to go through this, and they will have to prove themselves time and time again. Yeah.
Also, I have to say, we have 5 spots out of the Asia and Oceania qualifier, and I think that's already a pretty good standard in comparison to lots of these other regions. That's also obviously due to the fact that we have such a strong Asia and Oceania region. But yeah, as you said, if you don't make it count, if you don't actually use that top 3, top 2, depending on the group opportunity that you have, then yeah, maybe you wouldn't perform at a LAN event either. But then again, ladies and gentlemen, we might go into the next match before we see the statistics. As we said yesterday, we most of the times have a little bit of breathing room in phase 1 to show the statistics anyways, and maybe we will use just that. Let's get down to the wire. You said predictions, you said 1 team. Next game though, because I am pretty sure, let me check who's on my bucket list. I am pretty sure we're going to see another good game from Malaysia. But if I had to guess for the next winner, I am saying Japan. I'm saying Japan.
Bold guess. We'll see. What I'm interested to see as well, once we head into that ERANGEL, is did we actually see a hot drop? Because I would have said, okay, 18, you almost have to hot drop someplace, somewhere. And then you said there was a hot drop of 10 teams in the lobby. So now I'm a little confused how that happened and how that went down. But like we said, that's a lot of teams jumping out of a plane. That's not a lot of space. We're either going to see a whole bunch of people scrap looting, or we're going to see some teams going for early contests here. And if you want to contest, it's going to be Erangel, and it's going to be early. Because here, at least you can make a stand and you can keep a loot spot. On a Sanhok that you only played twice, not really worth it at all. On an Erangel, it might be worth to claim your spot, and that is not a pleasant plane for a lot of these teams here, Felix.
No, 100% it isn't, especially as we said with the background that we have 2 more teams than usual. This is disastrous, actually. We will see more hot jobs and more skirmishes around these car spawns as well, as we usually do. Let's see if it works out, and more importantly, for whom it works out perfectly. I think Yasnaya is probably the furthest city towards the end of it. They can still potentially reach. That is going to be a problem as well, because all around the Yasnaya area, there are car spawns. There's very few of them that you can uncontestedly really take. So for anyone trying to go towards George, Severny, maybe even Starbo or Kameshki, that's potentially going to be a problem. At least the zone is relatively fair to most of them, as we do go into the first hot job. It is Pakistan. I didn't quite catch the flag just yet, but it is Pakistan at least.
And it's a DBS once again. Building. Pakistan versus Cambodia. We talked a little bit about how Cambodia was one of the top teams coming into this. We'll see what they pull off here. I don't think they were the only team. I think I've seen some Japan in the kill feed. I've seen some Thailand in the kill feed. But for now, it's a whole lot of shotguns. And it's Cambodia versus Pakistan in the C block, as we call it. These military buildings. Not fun to fight, honestly. Not easy with super long hallways. It's not an easy push. And Pakistan is just holding that one down for now.
Cambodia also very unfortunately missed the qualification towards PMWC by just 1 single spot. These guys are the absolute best, all around the absolute best around their region. PUBG Mobile Challengers League, Southeast Asia Summer, 2nd place, as I said. These guys are not to be underestimated, even though it is such a relatively
place, by the way,
region.
by 1 point. 174 for first place, 173 for second place. Absolute heartbreak. Insane how close that was, and that's a big sting. I can tell you that much.
It is. Ashok still holding the staircase. He's the only player from Pakistan towards the southern side of that building. Has to be careful of not getting rushed. The potential for Cambodia to just run up the stairs, go straight through, run up the stairs is always there. Pakistan probably wouldn't be able to react in time. And that's what both these teams are looking for right now. An isolated first pick.
Yeah, this is going to be a bit of a standoff. Now, Util might do the trick. Util is really good if you want to flush out a shotgun, but I'm not sure if Ranza is going to get caught by that nade. He can always close the door and just dodge it completely. The position as well above the door, right, makes a push out incredibly hard. And I'm not sure if Pakistan is going to be able to read that, but without an opening, this fight is going to take a whole while. And so far, they're both looking, they're prodding, they're trying to figure out where they can find that opening, but nobody's doubling down just yet. Nobody's fully invested in this fight at this point.
No one's really trying to make a mistake as well. As soon as you're the first one to make a mistake, the opposition has got control of the situation most of the times. And if they play it cleanly, if they play without mistake, most of the times they will win that fight as well. Either way, that's a dangerous hot shot for 2 teams that both have absolutely qualifier ambition. So, one of these teams will most likely go out of this one relatively early and will not get another chance at this second round. I think they'll have to stick to the remaining 10.
Thailand, in the meanwhile, in the kill feed early again. That's a promising nade lineup, but not going to do the damage needed to secure a knock. And Ranza, you can see, he's toying with it. He's playing with the idea of going in, but doesn't want to commit just yet. Thailand, once again, popping off. I think they've taken out almost all of Laos at this point. And there's the first little clear around the corner. He's looking for it, but he doesn't find anything instantly. And whenever they push out, Skyrim can just absolutely strike. That's 1 damage. That's 1 shotgun pump, putting him down to 20 HP. Now his position's up, and he's got to fall back. And, well, the trap was sprung, but he doesn't get the instant knock. He doesn't have a chance to confirm it either. And they have to fall away and reset once again. This is costing a ton of time, Felix.
Look, they knew that he was on top of the little kind of wall right above him. That's the crazy part. I'm not sure. He must have heard that because he cooked the nade perfectly to kind of damage him. Unfortunately, he went a little bit too far. And cooking at a distance of 2 meters is also really, really tough. In return, it didn't really work out in his favor. He actually lost more damage than what his Nate did. But it looks like Cambodia is now increasing the distance. They don't want to get too close anymore. Obviously, some of these players don't even have a helmet, like what we just saw by Ozia. Excuse me, Renza.
It's, I think it's a good decision. When you look at the zone, right, they're not in a bad spot. They have a lot of rotation routes that are pretty good towards the center of the zone, towards the bridge area as well. There's a small chance this actually does come south. And then you being set up around the military island is a massive advantage. So not wasting too much time with a hot drop that's most likely not going to be clean anyways is completely understandable for both of these teams. But like we're seeing here, even falling away from this is not too easy because it's just so hard to understand where everybody else is playing from and what angles you can disengage on, what angles you have to hold down. It's a tricky spot right now, but there's one more thing I want to mention, Felix. Japan's out.
Go ahead.
Japan's not winning this game.
Yeah. Well, there goes my luck. There goes my prediction, unfortunately. And if I saw that correctly, by the way, I just looked at Cambodia's lineup. I just realized, I think they're playing with a stand-in as well, if I saw that correctly. So I don't think that's the complete Austria lineup, but I think it's their sub. But I didn't quite catch that. Gonna have to take a look at that again. Maldives, the sunny place. They are rotating in as well. Coming in very, very late. That could be an indication of their play style. It differs to what they usually play based off of the fact that they're still in the blue zone in phase 1. So I'm thinking the thinking process might be to just stay in the blue zone a little bit longer, make sure to get all the necessary loot, and dodge all the little skirmishes and fights that we have around the corners in phase 1 and phase 2. And might not be a bad idea either.
First few repositions coming out. Vietnam coming out of Pachinki. Not a bad spot on good old ERANGEL. Scouting their way towards the zone, towards the northwest. They're not looking to go in super deep. But they have a pretty solid position on this Pachinki hillside. As we can see, a bit more off towards the north, but close enough to the center that one phase 2 might just put you in the dead center and might set you up for a whole bunch of points with a bunch of information from that hilltop as well, which is the thing you'd love to see, especially in phase 1. And then
wow,
we see that mini base circle, and we see the mini base teams separating, and Pakistan actually going a bit closer to the bridge for a little bit more control there if they manage to group up when the circle pops. And we'll have to wait and see where it goes. Wow, ooh, that is far to the east. That is going to be a rough one for a lot of these teams.
Is there any way to have this circle any farther east? I don't think so. I think that was literally on the last blue zone edge. So, yeah, tough circle for plenty of these teams. Vietnam, though, on the other hand, the prime opening towards the warehouses. I think he just might have seen some guys in the distance towards the cliffs. Either way, that's a pretty good spot to be at already. I don't even think they need to rotate any further. I think at this point, you take what kind of real estate you can get, knowing that so many teams around you and they will all try to get the same spot. So going overly center, it's just not a possibility. Also, you get shot by way more players. So yeah, I think Vietnam playing it really smart, taking what they can. On the other hand, Austria, or rather Cambodia, now a little bit of a troublesome situation. I'm not sure how they're going to rotate in. I think there's the east bridge they can easily take, but they need to scout that first. And by the looks of it, they're looking to go more towards the western bridge, which is where Pakistan is at right now.
Yeah, a few kills coming out, but not a whole lot of carnage going on. We're indeed going a little bit slower than we were on the Sandrock. We're still on 64 players alive. With this circle, I think we're going to eliminate maybe a few teams, maybe a few players, but a lot of them are already slotting in nicely, like we've just seen Vietnam especially do, taking these bonds, but also flexing back out. We see Lamborghini is up at the C9 hill, we used to call it, to get a little bit more information, a little bit more ground, just in case this does shift north. They have now sort of survived the phase where somebody would be crashing in wildly without any information, so they can try and flex back out, take a little bit more space, and set themselves up for a phase 3 that isn't good for the bonds. So looking good for Vietnam right now. Nepal on the other side of things, I think are full 4-man in these yellow houses, and are gonna have to hold off a full 4-man coming in from, that is Hong Kong, China.
Yes, it is. Well, we have a little bit of a shout-out in the chat. Jiran wants to say, let's go, Leo Esports, aka Team Nepal. MVP Haltadami, and also pops in €2 to support the IESF. Well, thank you very much, I guess. Thank you very much, Jiran. And that shout-out is indeed given.
2 shots coming out from Hong Kong. Connecting onto the cars, doing a little bit of damage. There's the first knock coming out. There's a full breach in full effect. They're not messing around here at all. Yinglung, oh, he connects the last few bullets there to get himself the knock. That's the second. And he stays alive. I spoke too soon. Third party comes in. And Nepal wants to make that work as fast as they can to try and close out their edge of the circle. Utility is coming in. Third parties are coming in. This is getting messy here. Nice and quick. UMP comes out, finds one. I think that is this fight over with. And not a whole lot of time for Nepal to react on it. But look at the minimap they already have. They're pulling up on their knock. And they're trying to close this out fast.
Oh, yes, they do. But Nepal at the moment is back up and running. And so is Hong Kong, China. Both of these teams have set themselves up for this next fight pretty conveniently now. Look at this, Nepal's already got a play. Actually, I think it's Liquid, all towards the western side. So he's got a pretty good angle as well in case Hong Kong does get a knock and wants to cross towards the buildings from Nepal. They're going to be a little bit of a trouble as well. But at the moment, none of these teams really wants to engage too much. I think they're still waiting on the next circle shift. You can see Hong Kong, China, all of them, most of them, just a second ago, were prone inside the buildings, not really moving around as much as we would have expected it to happen. And that's also due to the fact that they've lost the play. Obviously, Ling Yang is already done and dusted for this one.
Yeah.
Meaning a straight 4-on-4 is not possible anymore.
He wins his 1v1 a little bit cleaner. He might have been able to get in cover just in time. Now there's the third party coming out. That's Pakistan over the top.
Oh,
coming out of Millie base, setting themselves up. And that's nice for Nepal. I'm not sure if they knew. I don't think they did. But their chokehold was just on the eastern side, allowing Pakistan to come in from the west, take out another player, and make this even easier. That being said, though, nice over rotation here from the Pakistan boys over to the hillsides, closer to the circle, and getting themselves towards a position where they can maybe get information into the zone. That being said, they're taking a whole bunch of damage here, and they're taking 2 knocks. That's going to slow them right back down, and that's going to make it very hard to move into this phase 3.
Yeah, Smoke is coming in to further support his teammates. Well, Jonas already back up on his feet. Pakistan also one of the more experienced teams here. Maybe not a favorite, but definitely one of the more experienced teams here. We could see Nepal in the distance. Just a second, go rotating off from these buildings as well. Pretty good rotate. Found themselves more towards the cliff side, which is pretty good because in theory you can walk the entire distance. Almost up until the circle center.
Look at Vietnam.
On foot. It's just really difficult because there's 3 Ts right in front of you. What are the possibilities there?
Yeah, this Vietnam is completely giving up the barns, by the way. So, yes, they can walk all the way on the beaches, but some teams might be just going to drive past them into these barns and try to pepper them from a distance. So
I love this, though. I really love this spot.
Yes, 100%. Really good reposition from Vietnam, and this is just due to the fact that they weren't sitting in these buildings as 4 without getting a whole lot of information. They're flexible, they're on their feet, and they're making the best out of this. Now, will it pay off? We'll have to wait and see, but they've put themselves in a good position here to fight off pretty much anything coming their way. If the timings don't go really badly, they should be all good and dandy. That being said, Thailand, excuse me there, taken out on the beaches, not looking all too hot. 2 players up in the shack, but they're taking casualties.
There's a nade coming in as well. Let's see if that hits. Won't be a really big nade from Vietnam. But yeah, if we want to touch on Vietnam even further, we like what they're doing here. Realizing, hey, at the moment, what it really comes down to, oh my god, West carry, what a shot! And he might even get another flush towards, I think that is Malaysia, towards the cliffs as well. But yeah, I really like what Vietnam is doing. Realizing, hey, the most important thing for us right now, with so many teams around us and so many people still living, so many players having so many great positions, is going for anything that's steeper inside the circles and that can potentially play on foot off and also staying as 4. And that's what they're doing. They've got a great split going, but not a dangerous split at that, and not a really far-fetched split. And that's also secured the vehicles and have stayed alive as 4. They're not making any kind of moves towards anywhere over now, even though they could. So I really like Vietnam's playstyle right now. Quite in contrast to Nepal, who still have to fight their way in.
A lot of teams on that western side having to fight their way on in, clashing with each other, really struggling to stay alive. We see Nepal falling in the kill feed there on that western edge. We see Myanmar just popping off shot after shot after shot, making this absolute hell for the Malaysian players on that hillside who are just trying to hold on to dear life. But time will be ticking and they will have to make more moves shortly as the lobby keeps blowing each other up. 2 Thailand players in the shack, though, have been holding on quite nicely here, Felix. They have been able to get themselves knocks and even kills towards the Malaysian team that's severely outnumbering them. So, making a good stand so far. We'll have to wait and see if they can ever make it down from that shack, though.
Yeah. That's the big question. Pia Zhao trying to find a Pakistani player up there. He's got the shotgun, and they know that's the dangerous part. He's found the first entry as well. If he pushes down here, that would be one hell of a play. He's found 2 already in total, I believe. One of them has been picked up back up, so it is down to a 3v1 at the moment. He pops down. Oh, if he would have hit these shots, that would have been absolutely massive. But instead, he's getting down to 30 HP. Needs to be careful. Nate comes through, and Xavi is there from Brunei to close things out. They have secured the bonds, and Brunei finally... It's time for a little bit of breathing room.
Finally, they do clean that up. That was looking spicy for a little bit when he makes the active push and he catches the timing. Could have really gone quite badly there, but we've seen a bit of a hold. Lots of aggression just coming out of PSL there to try and hold these stairs, and in the end it does pay off for them. Circle's going to be shifting on in. Almost everybody inside the circle already, but I do see a little bit of Nepal there on the southwestern side. They still have to struggle through a few teams. I think they've lost a few members. I think they're up to either 2 or 3 still, Nepal on the southwest there, but we've seen what they can do as a duo, so I'm holding my breath still.
Yeah, still very much possible. But yeah, quite surprising to me that we still have so many teams with 4 men up making it inside. Because we have so much water inside and so few positions there to be played. Overall, I want to say, these last 2 circuits on Sanok as well, they're not kind to any edge teams. Not only is it way tougher now to play edge with more players around you, more players potentially being able to third party as well, but also there's been very few positions that you can play off of on foot. Right now, most of the times, it's just reaches that you have to play. We know how dangerous these can be. Next fight coming up, Myanmar against Cambodia, who have finally made their way across the whole Osjar roster right in front of West Carry. He's already found 1 good frag towards the ridgelines, couldn't secure that. Maybe now is the time for him to shine.
Playing with fire, he's trying to fall away while also trying to get these nades on out. He has a little bit of cover from his teammates over the shoulder, stays alive with just 5 HP. If that nade doesn't knock him, there's a good chance he can try and make this work. It's not looking good for the other side. He's still getting that util out. He still has the support from his teammates. One of them has been knocked, but they were already healing back up, and it's looking good so far for that hold on this ferry compound. That's another knock. It's finally traded, but the numbers are dwindling here, and Myanmar is looking like they're getting the better side of this.
Yeah, they are. West Carry might be able to get safe, though. And due to the fact that Nang went down in the meanwhile, it's only Ranza left. And him all by his lonesome clutching this. I don't see it happening, unfortunately. His pathing is really tough as well. They will know where he's coming from, and they know his positions anyway. Because he was the one that traded out West Carry on that western side of the compound. Next circle shift that's happened, there's still so much water inside, which means everyone is going to be forced into this cramped up space towards the port. That's going to be one hell of a fight coming up for us as viewers. I am excited already. We can see on the northern side, teams are already creeping their way in with the blue zone already moving.
This is a fight that's slowing down a little bit. The full reset has come out for Myanmar, and then there's a little bit of a reset as well on the other side of things, but I don't think it's going to be the same story on the western side, right? I think we're going to see Cambodia, Myanmar slow down a little bit, but Nepal is not slowing down anytime soon. They're still fragging their way on through. 5 kills now. I'm not sure if they know about the solo behind them. They probably do, but they also have to deal with Malaysia in front of them, with Thailand at the shack. And, well, we've seen how they've been peppered from that eastern side. Now there's even Brunei coming out of the barns. This is going to be an absolute bloodbath here, and this is not going to be easy to stay alive for anyone involved, Felix.
Yeah, this is going to be absolute disastrous, to be honest. I'm not even sure how Nepal made it in up until this point. So many teams should have had vision on them crossing towards each and every single one of the teams playing these ridgelines as well. But somehow they've still got a player left alive. It is Zodo, if I saw that correctly, in the distance. Thailand still holding that shack. have only secured themselves 6 points. I want to say only because they've had so many fights to begin with. Yeah, 6 points is what they're sitting at right now. Don't see too many more coming towards them with the full 4-man creeping up behind them. But now the real fight is going to start towards the port area, slowly but surely as well.
Indonesia coming alive in the kill feed as well. They have found Bangladesh, and they are trying to deal with that threat. Brunei, not an easy task for them here either. Like we said, they have to get to the shack, but lots of shots coming in from the distance. That's 2 knock. That's beautiful from Evo. And he is trying to make the stand outside the shack. They don't want to sit pretty inside. They don't want to get naded when the time comes. They are trying to play this as active as they can. And between multiple teams here, Brunei has been absolutely slaughtered, with Malaysia, the solo, and the Thailand duo still staying alive all through this.
Yeah, Bull with some great shots towards Brunei. And I thought they were going to be in trouble with so many Brunei players creeping up on them. No, it's the other way around. Brunei has to be careful of the Thailand players. We're holding down the coast area. Next level shift comes in. It's all towards the northern side, and that is perfect. That is absolutely perfect for Indonesia. You can see Indonesia was playing this throughout the entirety of the game through the northern side, and that was the one side that really wasn't played at that much. They really played it smart. They picked that one side, that one edge where no one really was contesting them at, and they kind of spread out a little bit to deny any kind of other positions for any other team, and as a result of that, they're going to be in absolute prime position now to make something work in this game.
Well, I'm going to be looking at Vietnam as well. We praised them a little bit for the positioning earlier. Now they're going to get slightly tested, I would say, but not all too much. This should be easy for them to deal with. Thailand's going to be weakened coming down from the hillside if they ever come down. And then it should be very, very possible for Vietnam to move on in towards the circle. Cambodia is swimming at this point, trying to outmaneuver whatever GE is doing in front of them. Whatever Myanmar is doing in front of them. So far, they've been, well, surviving. Not much more than that, though. No kills just yet, and 2 players down. It's not going to be an easy fight once they take it, which is exactly why we see them avoiding it so hard.
Yeah. Indonesia now, for the first time, having some kind of opposition on their edge, and it is a Bangladesh. First knock came through.
Oh, beautiful.
As we head on over to Cambodia. We're still trying to make something work. Renza, somehow, he got his teammate back up. How the hell did that happen? Neng is still alive and kicking. In the meanwhile, Renza got taken down. Maybe he's at least going to get that flush against, unfortunately, West Kerry. Yes, he does. That's the first frag of the round being secured. The very first one for them after having a contest in phase 1.
And that's Thailand making a big, big jump down the rocks. I think we've just seen a Taipei solo ruin the dreams of Cambodia from behind. Now, the Thailand solo not going to be able to do the same thing, but Vietnam, they have space to survive in, but I don't think they have space to win the game in, so they're looking for more. The same is true for Indonesia and Bangladesh on the north, and once again, we see Indonesia being proactive with their cars, looking for openings. But right now, everybody's bombarding these smokes. Everybody is just trying to find the opening, and nobody's giving the opening to each other. I think with this shift as well, Felix, we're going to see them slow down even more and just try and conserve their resources. Try and just don't make mistakes, don't lose a player, and fight it out later on.
I think that's what they're going to opt for as well. Vietnam now slowly but surely rotating in. You can see them from spot to spot, very slowly creeping up on Malaysia in the distance. Oh, Lamborghini, if he would have gotten that entry, that would have been perfect. His teammate is already driving towards the next rock over. Maybe he's got vision on that player who's kind of separated from the rest of his team, which I think is only one other player, so they're going to be in big trouble. Vietnam, maybe now with the opportunity and maybe also the will to clear out the rest of the players that are still surviving towards the southeastern side.
Loving this position right now from Lamborghini as well. Circle has gone north, Circle has gone towards the road, and Circle is eliminating the entire port area that we've seen so much of this game unfold in. Myanmar, it's not looking good. Vietnam, like we said, right? Good positioning, proactive, and they're closing this out. Shadows is a little bit on an island. He has to be very careful about getting overrun here. But if they do manage to support him just a little bit, this should not be doable for Myanmar here at all.
No, it really shouldn't. Vietnam, they could take way more space already, and now's the tricky part. How much time do you waste on this fight, knowing that, in theory, you would have the advantage on all of these fights anyways? Because the longer you take clearing out that southeastern edge, the less time you have to focus on the next Circle. And you can see the next circle. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. They kind of need to clear out some of these dips, maybe even the Shag that is fighting each other right now if they want to get a space in the next one.
Look at the nade battles across the road on the other side. We have some gunfights on the south. We have nade fights on the north. Vietnam even losing a player in the midst of this. But a little bit more util from Bhutan, and the guys could be able to clear out that shack and could be able to give them a winning position in this circle. It's not looking like they're landing all of them just yet. They're doing damage, but they're not getting the kills. There's a second knock. Now it's just one up. Maybe the breach across the road comes out, and the clear is there. Wow. That's beautiful for Bhutan.
Wow, Bhutan. Absolute massive respect to Bhutan. For them to make this happen, they would have had a spot in the circle anyways. They were fine for the time being. I mean, obviously, Vietnam at some point was going to come towards them, but even they decided to go for another route towards the west-hand side. But for them to make the nades happen and then cross over, still alive, and get the shot off, I am flashed by Bhutan. Absolute crazy stuff coming from them. For anyone supporting that team, make sure to spam the flags. So that play is crazy. And look at this. They're still inside this. I think with all 4 players left alive, now in a prime spot to actually take this round.
This is exactly what I'm trying to talk about when I'm saying they're in a winning spot, right? They go from a survival spot to a chance to actually win this game. They now have space, they have possibilities. They're going to be able to get some of the loot back up from these bodies, and they're going to be able to set themselves up. Vietnam now tested by Bangladesh. The trades are coming in and out. It's not looking good for Vietnam right now. Lamborghini, he's got experience, but that's about all he has to work with right now, and he is cleaned up. Bangladesh come up big. It's their first 2 kills of the game, but it is 2 very impactful ones, giving them space in the circle. Indonesia instantly on the punish.
How is this happening? But I mean, I'm just flashed. Bhutan is playing such great PUBG Mobile. And the good thing for them as well is that Indonesia's lost a player. They're now engaging in this, and this should give the cue towards Bhutan to flex out, to take as much space as you can, get into another winning positions. After what they've done already, that is what they need. Bangladesh has secured a position, at least for now, inside the safe zone, but they are being pressured by Indonesia, and that first knock came through as well. 2 more nades. I don't think they're going to hit anyone just yet. Maybe that re-knock is going to come through. Yes, it does. 1 more nade. Indonesia is looking to clear out that edge. And by the looks of it, they're doing a perfect job at it as well. Yes, 5 frags being secured, and Indonesia is now inside the next safe zone as well.
Well played by Indonesia. They see weakness and they pounce. Now they have a 3v4 ahead of them. Not going to be an easy task at all. Bhutan, like we said, put themselves in the winning position. They've expanded a whole lot of utility to get themselves there. But the same is true for Indonesia. We see there's a few bunch of nades and a few smokes still, but not a whole lot. And this circle is very barren, very open. So if Indonesia have to make their next move and they go straight towards Bhutan, I'm not sure how well that's going to go. Can they play the terrain off to the north? Not sure about that either. It might just be a very fast ending once Indonesia has to move a little closer here, Felix.
Yeah.
Look at the nade.
Might just be a good nade, but it's not going to go far enough. Question is, how much more utility do you have, and when do you use it? I feel like right now, maybe that was 10 seconds too early. 5 seconds. If you realize they're not making a move before the zone starts, which is right now, maybe just hold off on these nades. Now the zone starts to move, and now Indonesia needs to make their way towards the full format of Bhutan. Are we going to see a massive upset, ladies and gentlemen, in the second round of the Asia and Oceania qualifier here at the IESF World Championship? I think it is bound to happen right now, because looking at these positions, they are just too close to the circle center.
Bhutan's just in a way better spot. We see Indonesia, they want to go for the crate, maybe, and there's the first knock. The bait from Razy works out. That's the first one. Equalize in numbers. Still haven't equalized terrain, but if they can make another move, maybe towards the crate, maybe even past them, there is a chance for Indonesia to turn this one into their favor. You can see them trying to get everything out that they have. The crate is going to provide a little bit of cover. Razy is trying to make things work. He's trying to pull off the impossible, but the res has come through. And Bhutan should be trying to regroup. Look at the util though, honing in on their position. They're absolutely getting blown to pieces here in a few seconds, I think.
Oh yeah, Yummy's barely making it behind the tree. His team is getting popped apart from the distance though, and there's just no chance. Francie goes down as well. It's all down to just one single player from Indonesia, and that is Yummy behind the tree. And you can see they're already trying to move their way around it. It is the upset coming true. Bhutan, ladies and gentlemen, will take home a chicken dinner in the second round already. If that isn't an upset, I don't know what is. Indonesia losing that 3v4 in the end, and what a play. They have made this round for themselves. So absolute congrats to them.
100%. They fought for it. They weren't sitting pretty. They weren't surviving. they were winning, and that's absolutely stunning to see. It was looking a little shaky there for 1 second when Indonesia got the opening knock, equalized the numbers, but Bhutan able to just stay true, use the cover that they have, use the ground that they have to close out that game for them. And that's another big win. That's another A-kill win. Gonna put another team towards the top here. And I'm not sure. I mean, Indonesia consistent, right? But a nice clean win for Bhutan.
Yeah, amazing. Let's take a look at some of these highlights on the road to Riyadh later this year. That's to be reminded, that's what all of these teams are fighting for. It is top 3 in this lobby. So that in turn means 15 teams are not going to be at the World Esports Championship end of this year, later in November in Riyadh. So very, very interesting. Let's take a look towards this match in detail. Good breaches. I thought Vietnam, to be honest, while we're seeing them in the background, I thought Vietnam would have a way better chance of winning this game. I thought actually that we were going to be the prime team. But then it did shift up. No, was that the main thing that kind of happened against them? Was it the circle shifts?
The circle shifts, and they also weren't as clean with their fights as they wanted to be, right? You had a point there about how they had to take these fights quickly so they would still have a chance to move in. They lost 2 members before they even really made it across the road, and I think it was Bangladesh was quickly able to punish them, quickly able to trade them out, pounce on the weakness there, and make that game essentially unwinnable for Vietnam at the end. Like we see it on the highlights right there. They lose a player in that ferry fight, and that costs them dearly because now they try to move on in, but they just don't have the numbers anymore, and they don't have the manpower. As Lamborghini, he was trying his very best to hold on to that, but not enough in the end. Bangladesh with a nice little clear until Arazi comes rolling around in the buggy. And yeah, that at that moment, unwinnable for Yummy, but it was looking possible there for a second for Indonesia.
Yeah, after that first knock came, I thought maybe if they can get another couple of shots through against the rather unexperienced Bhutan players, then maybe yes. Also, I always feel like as an experienced team, or rather as an inexperienced team, if you know who's on the other side, in this instance, it's a team that is literally at the top of the top of the global international esports scene. If you know what you're fighting against, and they did know after that first initial knock, at the very latest, if not earlier, then I feel like a lot of teams lose their confidence. Bhutan didn't at all. I mean, they were ready to take these guys head on at any given point in time, and that's not something that happens naturally for all teams. Bhutan did, though, so I'm excited to see them play in the rest of these games. Is it an upset? Yes. Is it one that we might see in another round? I am not so sure just yet. But what they've shown us so far in terms of decision-making, that push across the street on towards the shack, that is something not a lot of teams would do. That is exactly how you want to play this. So maybe we have someone else in this group of teams that we didn't have really as favorites, but maybe we should see them as such.
Yeah, and they didn't only show us, right? They also showed themselves. Like you said, they're killing some of the big names and clutching out a game like this with good positioning, good decision making, and good fragging just boosts up your confidence a whole lot and makes you realize, okay, this is actually very doable. You know, we were here and we were hoping to have a chance, but we actually do, and we beat these guys and we can actually win these fights. And that's something is sometimes you have to see to believe it. And Bhutan has definitely shown it, and they've shown it to everybody, including themselves. And we'll see how that stacks up on the leaderboard, and we'll see what that
I know what's crazy.
What it does for them, yeah.
Guess the population of Bhutan. Does anyone out there know the population of Bhutan?
Oh, I feel like it's not a lot, but my guess of not a lot could be just so off that I don't even
wanna... give me any number. Give me any number.
I'm gonna go with 20 million people.
What? Look, they have 780,000, maybe close to 800,000 in population. That is crazy. And these guys are fragging out against Indonesia with multiple millions. So, that is absurd, right? I would have thought they would have a bigger population than that as well. But yeah, Bhutan is a small country, at least in terms of population. Crazy stuff coming out from them, representing these 780,000 Bhutan people to the fullest, though.
It's not about the size.
That's what it comes down to. No,
it's not. It really isn't. About the size. They've shown it, and they've pulled it off. And like we said, beautiful game from them. Indonesia, I'm gonna talk about them all the time now because I said they're my favorites. They play another good game here. They play a solid game. They don't play anything crazy. They're not going absolute haywire and rolling over the whole lobby, but they played a solid game, good decision making, good rotations. We saw that fight that they were engaging on with Bangladesh, and they realized, hey, it's a tricky fight. Maybe we don't go for it now, and they get pretty much gifted a way better opportunity at the same fight later on. So correct decision in that process, and they pounce on when they have the chance. So really solid so far. We have the leaderboard for you guys. It's not the updated after match 2, but it is the updated after match 1. So we'll be able to make a pretty educated guess on how it looks once that comes up.
Let's take a look at it in detail. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the overall standings for you. Before I talk about Vietnam again and my thought process behind what's going to happen throughout these next games. Malaysia, unsurprisingly, in first place, 19. I was thinking whether or not Indonesia might be able to catch them points-wise. Not going to happen. No, actually not even close. 13 points, so it was 7 LMs. That's even more than I expected. But yeah, 7 LMs are not going to get you any close if the top team not only won the round, and also got 9 LMs on top of that. So 13 points. Right behind them is Nepal as well. Also a good game. Once again, have shown us in the second match as well what they're capable of. Bangladesh with a second good game now is going to be relatively close to that double digit. I think it should be another 10, maybe even more than that in the second game. So Bangladesh is definitely going to be in reach for these qualification spots too. The only team that I really don't see up there anymore is Timor-Leste. I don't think they've gathered too many points now.
No. They haven't had a great game too. I think they've got a few points, but not a whole lot. But yeah, like we said, right? Vietnam, they got themselves a good bunch. They were in 8th before this, and then we had Indonesia, Malaysia, Nepal, especially Indonesia, I think probably in first, like we said. But we'll see how all of that shakes out when we do have the stats for you. We also, once we go to the lower half of the last match, right? We're going to find Bhutan there with 1 point in the first match. So they have made a big stride towards the top, and they haven't been able to close the gap entirely, but they've now put themselves in the conversation to be one of the top teams in this tournament.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, Japan now with a second rather bad game. Let's just put it like it is. Same goals for Pakistan and Brunei. Unfortunately, Brunei, I got to talk about Brunei really quickly because I thought in both of these games, they showed us really great initiative, and they showed us actually that they can get into the spots. What it comes down to after getting into the spots is keeping your players alive if you do enter these fights. And I felt like in both instances, they kind of fought a little bit too late to when they really should have. And I feel like if they fix that, the harder part is getting to positions. The rather easier part is actually winning the fights then. So so far they're doing half of it. The harder part is what they're doing correctly. So I'm hoping we're going to see another good game from them, and maybe potentially see them at Riyadh again. By the looks of it at the moment, that is not the case though. Once again, 18-team lobby, incredibly hard to qualify. I gotta say, that is, when I say throughout the entirety of all the qualification stages I've seen in this year, probably the hardest qualifier out of all of them. A top 3 in an 18-team lobby with some of these most experienced teams internationally that we have probably ever had. I mean, at no point has any team like DX ever been more experienced than now. Yeah, that's just goes to show you it's going to be so hard. It's going to be so very tough.
Yeah, and you're going to feel bad about everybody that gets close but doesn't quite make it into the top 3, right? There's going to be a lot of teams like that. We've seen a lot of teams already make good stances so far, but you know, you have one slow game, you have one good game. It's not enough. You have to really be popping off. And we'll see who's able to pop off consistently. I think so far it's Indonesia at the top. It was Bhutan this game. And we'll see what comes up in the next few games for you guys. We're going to a short break, and then we'll have Game 3 on ERANGEL for you in just a few minutes.